Right now at 11, a ceasefire in the Middle East after Israel and Hamas agree to stop the bloodshed, putting an end to a deadly 11-day war, at least for now.
But here at home, the push to get people vaccinated continues. But for people who are allergic, it may not be an option. The NBC 12 vaccine team dives deeper into that concern.
Plus, new technology may give mobility back to millions of people who are partially paralyzed. The breakthrough research underway here in Richmond.
NBC 12 News at 11 starts now.
We'll get to all of those stories in a moment, but we begin tonight with our forecast where it is officially hotter than hell.
Hell, Michigan, that is, which is about an hour west of Detroit. Kurt, I knew you would have some fun with that. In Hell, temps only climbed into the mid-80s, but the temps around here in central Virginia reached well into the 90s. By far the hottest day of the year so far. Meteorologist Megan Wise on your side tonight. Megan, not only is it hot, it's also dry. But first, take us to Hell. Where is this place?
We're just going to give them hell tonight, aren't we?
Apparently.
Go ahead, give it to him, Megan.
91 was the official high temperature earlier this afternoon. It's been pleasant, mild this evening. 62 is the current temperature at Richmond International. It was a little breezy earlier this evening. We had a frontal boundary that pushed towards the west. That's why the winds along and east of I-95 picked up for just a little bit, brought in some cooler air. And that's why we're still a little bit more mild out towards the west. Farmville's at 70 degrees. We have upper 50s east of town from Tappahannock down towards West Point. 64 in Chesterfield, 63 in Petersburg. And there's a look at the winds. They'll be light throughout the remainder of the evening and overnight. Mainly clear skies. We need some rain. No rain in our immediate future, unfortunately. And as far as temperatures go with a clear sky, we start tomorrow morning back in the low to mid 50s. Very similar start to the past couple of mornings, but we do have a hot weekend ahead of us. We'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. Makia, Kurt.
All right, thank you, Megan. Well, turning our attention now to the Middle East, where Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire.
That news breaking late today and putting an end to a deadly 11-day war. A conflict caused widespread destruction in the Gaza Strip and brought life to a stop in much of Israel. It also left more than 200 people dead, almost 70 of them children. Now at 11, Richard Engel from Tel Aviv.
After more than 4,000 Hamas rockets fired indiscriminately at Israeli cities, killing at least 13 Israelis, and Israeli airstrikes on Gaza in retaliation, killing more than 230, including at least 65 children. Tonight, a ceasefire. Israel's security cabinet said it unanimously approved an Egyptian initiative for Israel and Hamas to simultaneously stop their attacks, starting tonight. President Biden also speaking out late tonight.
In my conversation with President Netanyahu, I commended him for the decision to bring the current hostilities to a close.
But many in Israel don't support the ceasefire, saying Israel was just defending itself after Hamas fired first. This college student saying every several months Hamas decides it wants to shoot at us. Albina Ben Dakon, her house hit by a rocket just today, saying, "We've had so many ceasefires, and this always happens again." But Palestinians argue Israel provoked this round with a police raid on Muslims praying in Jerusalem. And many Palestinians say the rockets and clashes are their only tools to resist what they describe as Israeli apartheid that limits how and where they live. What's not in dispute is that the people of Gaza paid heavily for this. Ahmed Al-Mansi had become popular on YouTube as he comforted his children during the Israeli strikes. Then, an Israeli airstrike next door killed him and his brother. You can hear family members praying for their lives, crying desperately. Today, we reached their house, where a surviving brother told us he doesn't want the world to think of killed Gazans as just numbers, but victims of a conflict many in Gaza, just like in Israel, do not believe will end with this ceasefire.
Egypt played a key role in moderating the deal and says it will send monitors to both Israel and Gaza to oversee its implementation. Richard Engel, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Right now, a manhunt continues for a convicted rapist who took off from the Chesterfield courthouse today. Officials say 48-year-old John Irvin did not come back into the courtroom when it reconvened around 6:30 last night. The sheriff's office says they have video footage of him walking through the wood line and onto Route 10, possibly Iron Bridge Road. Irvin was found guilty and now faces 5 years and 1 day for the crime. Officials believe he's long gone, but are asking people in Chesterfield to stay vigilant.
Well, as COVID cases continue to dwindle in Central Virginia, the push continues, with officials urging those who haven't been vaccinated to get a shot. But there are some people who simply can't. There are growing concerns tonight about people who suffer from severe allergies who could actually put their life at risk if they get a COVID shot. New at 11, vaccine team reporter Brent Sullivan is live now. And Brent, what are doctors telling you about these concerns?
Well, Makia, they say these concerns are very valid, but there are only a small number of people who really fall into that category. One doctor telling me tonight most people who suffer from mild allergies really shouldn't have a problem.
It's something that came all of a sudden about 6 or 7 years ago.
65-year-old Michael Silas of Chesterfield lives with the reality severe allergies are just part of his life.
I have to carry an EpiPen. Every once in a while, my tongue swell up. I find it difficult to breathe.
That's just what happened when he tried to get the flu shot one year. Because the ingredients in that shot trigger his allergies, his doctor told him he can't get it. That's why he's especially concerned about the COVID vaccine.
Perhaps you would not be the best person to receive that vaccine because you could have a life-threatening problem.
Dr. Raj Malhotra of Chippenham Hospital tells me most who suffer from allergies do not fall in that category. He says generally these are the allergy sufferers who might still consider getting a COVID shot.
Severe reactions to something in the environment or an oral medication they've had or, pets or bugs or bee stings, etc.
But what if you got your first shot and had an allergic reaction to the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine?
You got your first shot and you had an allergic reaction that was significant. You would be advised not to get the second shot of that same type of vaccine.
He says you might be urged to get a J&J shot the second go round. As for those who shouldn't get any vaccine at all,
really kind of mitigating your risk, staying distant from people in terms of inhaling kind of contagions, diligent hand hygiene, especially when you touch a doorknob after somebody else, masking.
Precaution Silas realizes he must take.
We have to take it serious.
I get it. Let me ask you this. If you weren't allergic to shots, would you get them?
Yes.
There you have it. Now, Dr. Malhotra actually reminds every case is very different. So if you have any questions at all about this, go ahead and consult your doctor, especially since we haven't reached herd immunity yet. Live in Richmond on your side, Brent Solomon, NBC 12.
Thank you, Brent. To our Decision Virginia coverage now, where tonight 5 Democrats vying for Virginia's governor's mansion went head-to-head in a forum discussing everything from COVID to the economy. Now at 11, Simone Cucurullo joining us with what you missed. Simone.
Hey, Kurt. The Virginia Governor Candidate Forum aired earlier tonight right here on NBC 12. 5 candidates battled it out in the panel moderated by Chuck Todd. Terry McAuliffe, Jennifer Carroll Foy, Lee Carter, Justin Fairfax, and Jennifer McClellan all virtually debated the various topics ranging from vaccinations to race relations. The candidates determined to stop former Governor Terry McAuliffe from coasting to the nomination. The winner of the June 8th primary will take on Republican Glenn Youngkin.
One of the central divides in this race is the experience that some of you are running on versus the new directions that others are calling for, or something in between. So I want to ask each of you a version of the same question of simply about why you and not your other opponent should be the next governor. Mr. McAuliffe, I will start with you.
Yeah, he began with Mr. McAuliffe, and then each candidate had time to answer that question and plenty of others. 3 panelists, along with Todd, were tasked with asking the questions. And tonight, GOP nominee Glenn Youngkin reacting to the debate, calling McAuliffe an all-talk, no-action candidate. Youngkin agreed with Jennifer Carroll Foy on one thing, saying a new kind of leader needs to be elected. If you would like to hear more on what the candidates had to say specifically, we do have the entire debate posted on our website. Simply head on over to NBC12.com. On your side tonight, Simone Cucurullo, NBC 12 News.
All right, thanks, Simone. Well, each year, nearly 60 million people suffer from acquired brain injury, 15 million suffer from a stroke, and thousands more experience a spinal cord injury, which can leave them partially or fully paralyzed. But now, thanks to new state-of-the-art technology, the Sheltering Arms Rehabilitation Center in Richmond is giving patients their mobility back. On your side tonight, new at 11, AJ Nwoko explains.
This wearable exoskeleton has helped people all over the world take more than 125 million steps, including one local woman who thought she'd never walk again.
Every day I just want to get up and walk. And I feel that I can do it right now.
Maria Pollard doesn't let anything keep her down, not even partial paralysis from a surgery to remove cancer from her spine.
One of the screws went into my spinal cord and shut the fluid off.
For months, she's been wheelchair-bound, relying on assistance to do the things she loves.
I miss out on my driving, shopping. It's frustrating because I'm not used to this.
Fortunately, she'll never have to be, thanks to the Sheltering Arms Institute.
You ready?
And this piece of cutting-edge technology.
Holding for stand.
Like motorized magic.
And standing up.
She's able to rise once more and take her own steps.
Gonna be that right first step.
This wearable exoskeleton called Exo is giving Maria her independence back.
And I love being in it.
Thanks to support from the community, the Sheltering Arms Institute is the first inpatient rehabilitation hospital in the state to have this new technology.
The robot actually allows us to grade the amount of assistance we give somebody. So for someone that is weak, we can let the robot do more. For someone that has a little more strength, we can make the robot do less.
It helps you a little bit, but you have to be, strong to make your steps yourself.
Needing less help.
This is Maria's third week in the device, and already her abilities have vastly improved.
Initially, the robot was doing about 90–95% of the work. Now it's doing about 60–65% of the work.
Just like Maria, the Institute is ready to make a lifetime of difference for others.
Shift left.
Using this technology, one small step at a time.
And I'm really working hard and looking forward to walking out of that door with my walker.
And if you think you could benefit from Sheltering Arms or would like to support them in their efforts, I've placed that information on our news app. For now, on your side, AJ Nwoko, NBC 12.
Thanks, AJ. And then there was one. Literally, after whittling down 6 proposals, the city of Richmond now betting on the one casino and resort to move forward. And today, an advisory panel announced it's all in. This would bring a massive development to Walmsley Boulevard in South Richmond. Mayor LeVar Stoney says he'll present the plan to City Council on Monday. On Tuesday, the city pitches the proposal to the public. Of course, Richmond voters will have the final say.
New at 11, Governor Northam announced $135.8 million in grant funding for criminal justice programs. That money will go to localities, nonprofit organizations, and state agencies. More than $85 million will support state services to victims of crimes. In total, the 436 grants will fund over 1,500 positions and program operations around the state.
Coming up on the news at 11, a city hurting after more than 100 children are shot, 16 of them fatally in Chicago since the beginning of the year. We have a full breakdown on the demands for change coming up.
Plus, new details from the infamous Tiger King sanctuary. Why federal officers confiscated more than 60 cats. More on the future of the park is just ahead.
Disturbing new details tonight. 109 children and teenagers have been shot in Chicago this year alone. The uptick in violence targeting the city's young has sparked outrage.
Now, as Diane Walker reports, there's a new push to put an end to all of the senseless shootings.
A 13-year-old boy riding his bike in McKinley Park. A 15-year-old girl walking her dog in Washington Park. These are but two of the most recent children to be killed or injured by gun violence in the city of Chicago. Respect Life reads the sign near 60th and King Drive.
Us adding more police to the city has not worked, and so we got to reimagine what safety is.
As of last week, 108 of the shooting victims in the city so far this year have been children. 16 of them have died. With summer around the corner, community advocates worry about what's to come. On the west side, Greater St. John Bible Church is among those that offer programming for people in the neighborhood. The pandemic, however, is limiting how many children they can take in.
We will continue our after school, which will transition into summer camp. And of course, that's only 25 children because we got to be able to social distance. And the city must find places to invest money where there can be some viable options for these kids to hang out and be safe.
For 20th Ward Alderman Jeanette Taylor, the question is clear. The answer, however, remains elusive.
I'm an 80s baby. I played double dutch. I did jacks. I blew bubbles. I could sit on my porch in peace. And that's not what we have now. We have a city in chaos. And so how does government work with community to work together, to put plans together to help keep everybody protected?
On your side, Diane Walker, NBC 12.
New at 11, the CEO of the Colonial Pipeline will testify before Congress next month about the cyber attack that forced the company to stop all operations and caused gas shortages up and down the East Coast. Joseph Blount will appear before the House Homeland Security Committee as part of the oversight's ongoing focus on the security of the country's critical infrastructure. The company paid $4.4 million to these hackers. The hearing is part of the Oversight Committee's ongoing focus on the security of the country. And by the way, some places still feeling the impacts of the shutdown. Here in Virginia, just about 18.5% of gas stations are still without gas.
On New tonight, more than 60 big cats were seized from the Oklahoma park made famous from the Netflix documentary Tiger King. It's by federal agents. 68 protected lions, tigers, ligers, and jaguar were taken from Jeffrey and Lauren Lowe's Tiger King Park. Now, Lowe was cited for failing to provide the animals with adequate or timely veterinary care, appropriate nutrition, and shelter that protects them from inclement weather. A judge ruled that he must give up his tiger cubs and immediately stop showing the animals without a valid license.
Accurate, reliable, breaking weather specialists. This is NBC 12 First Alert Weather.
It was certainly a hot day today. 90 degrees was the official high in Prince George County. We're now at 63 degrees, so cooling off nicely this evening. Midlothian was at 91 earlier today at Swift Creek Middle School. Now comfortable in the mid-60s. And All Saints Catholic School also 91 degrees in Richmond. Now currently low 60s on our JES WeatherNet sites. It was the second 90-degree day that we have had so far this year. Temperature-wise across the area, low 60s. For a lot of us, from Hanover through the city of Richmond down towards Petersburg. We have upper 50s in West Point. Tappahannock right now is at 57 degrees, one of our coolest spots. And the winds have really lightened up compared to earlier this evening when we did have that boundary that went from east to west, picked up the winds, and then they have since dissipated, and now we are going to look at just a light wind the remainder of the evening. Clear skies tonight. We are looking at a quiet overnight, and we do have the tropics brewing already. The official start of hurricane season is June 1st, and we have two areas that we're watching. One well out to sea here. It's to the northeast of Bermuda. It has an 80% chance of development within the next 48 hours, and the name would be Anna. So we'll keep a close eye on this one. Does not look like it is going to impact the United States whatsoever. This second circled area down towards the Gulf of Mexico was highlighted several hours ago. It has a 20% chance of development, and that's likely to move towards the north and bring more rain to Texas and Louisiana. That's had tremendous amounts of flooding the past couple of days, so not a good situation down towards the south. Around here, we could really use some rain, but we have another mainly clear sky. We'll start tomorrow morning low to mid 50s. Tomorrow not as hot as today, still though above average, very warm. We're in the low 80s at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We have the forecast high at 85 degrees, and as we look ahead to the weekend, even hotter, 90 degrees for Saturday. If you have any weekend plans that are going to be outdoors, just make sure you're staying cool, staying hydrated as best you can. Don't forget about your pets. Sunday, we're at 92 degrees. There's the slightest chance of an isolated shower at best. Humidity, though, in our favor. Still looking at that pleasant to slightly humid range. We're not in the muggy phase yet of that summer-like humidity, just hot temperatures. And as far as where we stand, as far as dryness this month, we've only picked up 0.6 of an inch so far this month in the rain bucket. That ties the number 2 spot set back in 1911. So we still have 11 or so more days of May to see if we can still get some more rain in our area, but unfortunately nothing significant on the way here. Just a few showers possible by Monday. They would be light at best, and there's only a 30% chance at this point, so a lot of areas still look to stay dry. We'll be in the low 80s, still above average next week and turning even hotter. Tuesday, we're in the upper 80s, another very small chance of a shower. Wednesday, 95 degrees. It's a hot one. We'll stay in the low 90s by next Thursday. We'll be right back after this break.